Alright, trying out a new video format because I just played this game, thought it was pretty good, not amazing by any stretch, but I wanted to cover it and I knew it wouldn't take long to cover it, so let's go, rapid fire review. Severed Steel is a fast-paced FPS with heavy focus on bullet time and diving and sliding just like Max Payne. The mechanics are incredibly simple. While you're wall running, sliding, or diving, you can't be hit by bullets. So obviously you want to be doing those things as much as humanly possible. It only takes like 2 or 3 seconds outside of bullet dodging mode to die, so you'll be doing a lot of that. There's also a kick, which you're not going to use that often, but you can use it to kill enemies and also to disarm an enemy if you need his gun, which is not actually necessary because you can literally just steal the sidearm right off their body, which is pretty cool. Shooting is fairly simple. Most guns are very accurate. I don't think there's any recoil, but there is random spread. And while there are a lot of guns, most of them function virtually the same. There's like 5 variations each of handgun, shotgun, assault rifle, submachine gun, and there's a couple snipers thrown in there for good measure. There's also some silenced guns, but I don't think they serve any purpose except to look cool, I guess. There's no reserve ammo in this game, so whenever you use whatever ammo is left in that magazine for the gun, you literally just throw it away, and yes, you can kill enemies by throwing empty guns at them. The grenade launcher and the flamethrower, surprisingly, are pretty much the best guns in the game. The flamethrower is an instant kill and has a shit ton of fuel, and the grenade launcher is a grenade launcher, so of course it's good. The slowdown time mechanic is definitely way too forgiving. As long as you're performing a stunt, which is all of the other moves that let you dodge bullets, you have infinite slowdown time. It only takes a meter if you're not doing those things, and the meter refills really quickly, so you basically have infinite slowdown time. You also get an arm cannon like Samus about a third of the way through the game, and you've only got 3 shots for it, but every time you kill one of these armored dudes, you get 1 shot back. And the arm cannon can actually blow small holes through walls. All of the environment is destructible in this game, which is pretty cool. There are a few indestructible walls, just so that you don't fall through the world or clip out of bounds or something, I would assume. But for the most part, you can pretty much just blast through stuff. So I mentioned the stunts mechanic and dodging bullets earlier, which ties into the greater movement abilities that you have. And this is a big part of why this game is fun, because a lot of these things can be chained together and it has the type of movement that clearly has a skill ceiling. Like, for example, you basically have infinite jumps as long as you know what you're doing. You have a double jump, you have the dive, which counts as a third jump. It actually gives you a little bit more height and a lot more distance. You can use your kick move on a wall, and that also gives you an additional jump. And wall running refreshes both of your normal jumps. So if you know what you're doing, you can chain together a shit ton of different moves that not only give you a lot more height, but also you can stay invincible during a lot of these things. The combo you'll use the most often is that you can go directly from sliding to a dive. So once you start slowing down, just hit the dive button and there you go, you've doubled your invincibility time. So all in all, the gameplay mechanics are pretty solid. They don't exactly have a whole lot of depth to them, but there's always room to expand in a sequel, which the end of this game implies that there will be a sequel, but of course we'll have to see how well this game sells. But yeah, I'd definitely like to see more from this aspect of the game. As for the level design, this is where most of the gameplay variety comes from. There's only a few set objectives in each level, whether that's destroy some computers, go from point A to point B, or kill all the enemies. But the design of the platforms, and the room structure, and enemy spawns, and the type of enemies that spawn can make a significant difference. Not necessarily in how you play the game, but just the general difficulty of that level, as the basic framework here doesn't really leave a lot of room for any creative gameplay. You're basically just sliding, diving, occasionally kicking, and then slowing down time and shooting people in the head. The enemy variety was actually surprisingly pretty good too. The only real problem I have with it is that really you just shoot them all to death. I mean, sure, some of them have more health. There's an enemy type that has armor all over it, so you have to focus fire one body part. There's riot shield guys that you obviously gotta shoot in the back, or if you have really good aim, you can shoot them through the little view hole in the shield. I thought that was a nice touch. There's flamethrower guys you gotta shoot in the fuel tank. There's guys with like these jetpack exosuit type of things. Pretty much all of them just shoot you. Even the ones that have explosive ammo or rockets and they blow up the environment, which that's cool, don't get me wrong. The only problem with that is that if you're sliding or diving or wall running, you're still completely invincible even to explosives, which, you know, it doesn't make any sense, but whatever, that's just how the game works. So none of these things really change up how you play the game. Still a good effort though. Sadly, more effort than most modern games. I mean, to bring up a game I just reviewed, Deathloop basically had 2, maybe 3 enemy types. At least this has like 6 or 7. A couple examples of levels that stood out to me was there was one full of enemies that were cloaked and had silenced weapons. There's one where you have to burn down this penthouse with a flamethrower. There's one level where all you have to do is blast through a wall, which is a great demonstration of how the game's destructive environments work, and it actually changed up how you played the game, because you were just trying to get a hold of any grenade launchers, or they have a shotgun that has explosive ammo, and that plus your arm cannon, you gotta blast through that thing while also not being murdered in 2 seconds by all the enemies that of course infinitely spawn in the room. So, I like that one quite a bit. The campaign is under 3 hours, which might be the biggest issue with the game, especially at this price point. It's $25. That is way too high. Way too high. This should be a $10 game. There is a challenge mode where you're scored based on how fast you complete a level and whether you kill enemies in certain ways, but you're basically just playing the same levels again, just with a couple challenges thrown on it and a scoreboard. It's not exactly more content. Only other significant thing in the game is the soundtrack, which is really good. Granted, that highly depends on your taste in music. Some of them were a little on the grating side for me. I don't really like modern EDM stuff all that much, but the more synthwavy stuff was good. And yeah, that pretty much covers it. It's a pretty good game, it's just overpriced. I had a lot of fun in my roughly 3 hours that I played the game. And when it goes down in price, if you just want to play a high-octane FPS and shoot a bunch of people and kick people and do some Max Payne slow-mo dives, and yeah, I mean, that's about it. You don't really do a whole lot else, but it's pretty fun for what it is. When it goes down to 10 or 15 bucks, I'd recommend picking it up. Hey guys, thanks for watching. I'll probably start doing these shorter reviews when I'm just not in the mood for doing a long review, and when a game like this comes around that really doesn't need a long review anyway. I'm thinking of doing a top 5 video up next, so give me any suggestions in the comments. I haven't decided on anything. The only suggestion I won't take is top 5 sandbox games, because that's technically in progress. Technically. Should have been out by now. Not my fault. That's about it though. I'll see you next time, guys.